In this video, we're going to talk about the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners versus the TDLR and what the Sunset Advisory Commission has recommended them to do, and we're going to talk about it right now. I'm Roger Wakefield, Lead AP, the Expert Plumber. I've been plumbing over 38 years, and I have every master endorsement in the state of Texas. On this channel, I'm teaching you how to fix your plumbing fast and free. If you haven't been here before, please subscribe so you don't miss anything. Guys, as you can see, we're right outside of the commission hearing room. We're not going to be able to carry video equipment inside, but as soon as we come out and know what's going on, we'll let you know. All right, so I spent a long day at the Texas State Capitol listening to the Sunset Advisory Commission and their hearing on deciding whether or not to put the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners under the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. You know, I have been for the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners all along. And I've got different reasons, but, you know, I think it's a prideful thing. I love the fact that the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners is a board of plumbers, and not all of them, but the board members, the 9 of them, are supposed to be either directly related to the plumbing industry or engineers or contractors, and then there's 2 public seats in there. First of all, I want to say thanks to Senator Watson and Representative Thompson for trying to come up with a modification to actually make it to where the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners could stay around for 4 more years under very strict guidelines and things that they would have to do in order to stay afloat. I thought that they had some great ideas, some great recommendations. There were people that definitely didn't agree with that and wanted things to change. I believe it was Mr. Steinmart that, you know, basically came out and said, look, I cannot see keeping them around for 4 years and letting them possibly move on and do good. And he made a really dumb statement, I thought. Why not keep them around for 4 years and then put them under TDLR? Well, if you keep them around for 4 years and they straighten up, why would you want to put them under TDLR? You'll see later. I interviewed Brian from the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. He's the director, and I'll tell you what, he's a great guy. And I think he's got good plans and good ideas, and I have nothing at all against TDLR. I just personally feel like the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners is a better entity and a good standalone entity in order to help preserve the Texas State plumbing license the way that it is. I'm afraid by reading some of these things, and I'm going to go through some of these things, but I'm afraid that what we're going to do is we're going to water down our licensing procedure just a little bit, and I really don't want that to happen. I really like the way things are, and as I read through these and I go through these, I'm going to give you my comments, but also what I want you to do is I want you to leave your comments down below. I want to know what you think. What do you think are the strengths or benefits or weaknesses or problems that we're going to have with each one of these as we go through? But the first one that they've decided is the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners will go under TDLR. They have till February 1st, I believe, 2019 to start putting together or modifying the advisory board. And one of the approved things is to remove one of the public seats and add another plumber to the board or one of the plumbing positions, not sure which one. You know, there were a lot of things that were not crystal clear during the Sunset Advisory Commission, and there's a lot of things that we've still got to look at and still got to learn. But guys, number one, this isn't over. This still has to become a bill, then it has to go before the House and the Senate. And I believe this happened back in 1980, somewhere around in there, when they were going to get rid of the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners then. And then Governor Ann Richards says, no, we're not going to do that. So I'm going to go through these. Like I said, guys, please leave comments below. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, you know, please give me a thumbs up and let's talk about this. So issue 1, recommendation 1 was to put the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners under TDLR. That got approved without any modifications. Like I said, Watson and Thompson both had modifications. Those did not get approved. So it is going, or at least it's going to be voted upon to be put under TDLR. Issue 1, number 2, is with no modifications was to require fingerprinting in order to get your license. You know what? I like that. That helps confirm identification. That helps with criminal background history check. That will help with a lot of things. I have no problem with that. Like I said, 1.1 was voted against at 7-5, and I believe all the rest of them, including the modifications, were approved on their first pass. So no arguments, no disagreements, no anything like that. Everything else actually went pretty smooth. So let's go through the rest of them. 1.3 had a modification by Senator Birdwell, and that was to direct the agency, which is the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, to actually work with TDLR, refine the board, remodify the board, change it, add a person, make changes, do whatever needs to be done by February the 1st, 2019. So we've got about 3 weeks, and they've got to have that modification done. And that way they can start looking at how to implement things and get things ready to move forward if it is approved in the House and Senate. And that way we can start looking at what it's going to take to move forward, and it'll give some clarity to the plumbers as to what we're going to be looking at. Issue 2, overregulation and complex licensure requirements make it difficult to get into the plumbing industry and hard to move up in the plumbing industry. And I'll tell you what, I've got every master endorsement in Texas. I've got my master license. I've got my journeyman license still. I've got my journeyman med gas. I've got a lot of things. The over licensing and regulation doesn't bother me because I want to make sure that the plumber, and no matter what plumber I hire, do they have the license to do the right things? What they've done here is they've gone in and made changes to our license that I really think it's going to affect plumbers, it's going to affect homeowners, and it's going to affect the way building is done in the state of Texas, because that they're trying to change things up. My initial overview of it was, I know that they want to get rid of some things, but we put these things in, I believe, 16, 18 years ago in order to make it where plumbers could move up the scale faster, or actually apprentices could, so they could move up faster and make more money. So I'm going to talk about those, but remember, guys, I want to know what you think about it too, so please leave me a comment. So 2.1 actually says to eliminate the registered drain cleaner, the drain cleaner restricted registrant and license and whatnot, and the utilities installer. And here's my deal. I thought that was good because if I had an apprentice that could either understand drain cleaning or could actually have the hours and go out and take the test and be registered and whatnot to do certain things, I could put him in a truck faster to where he could do some things. And this actually sped up the process for him to make more money. So I really thought that this was a good thing that the state of Texas had done in order to help these young men maybe feed their families a little better, a little bit faster. So recommendation 2.2 was with the modification. The recommendation is to remove the statutory requirements for direct supervision. Now, Senator Buckingham made a recommendation, and it did get approved, that what her recommendation was to actually require classroom training for apprentices and tradesmen prior to going out and working under supervision. So it's going to be real interesting to see how this is worded and how this is done by the time it goes to a rule or a law that we have to go by. I love the fact that, right now the responsible master plumber is responsible for everything that happens at his company. Don't know that that'll change. But what I don't like is taking the words direct supervision out and trying to get that away, because I don't want a lot of these home builders to just start sending apprentices out to do the job. And we run into problems where things aren't getting done right, and now people's safety and health are at issue. This is something that I really think we need to think at and look at very close before we start putting this all together. Recommendation 2.3 was to talk about removing the requirement to where you had to be a licensed plumber in order to administer the exam. Now, Senator Birdwell's recommendation was to actually make it where they removed that requirement for the written procedure. Now, this can be a good thing, because now what it means is we can have licensing or testing companies around the state to where Once you get your hours in, you get everything approved, you schedule a test where you go in, you do a test online, and that takes care of all your written part. Once you test all your written part, then you schedule your practical exam. And Senator Birdwell does recommend that we do keep the licensed plumber involved with the testing for the licensed exam part of it, or for the practical part of it. And I think that's really an important deal, especially in our industry where it's something that if you're not a plumber, you may not really know what you're looking at. Recommendation 2.4 was to authorize the board to outsource the creation and administration portion of his exam. Now, Senator Watson proposed to allow the board to outsource the creation and administration of the exam, but require the licensed plumber, again, to be involved in the practical part of the exam. This sounded like a repeat to me or something like that, but guys, they're trying to make it where, or at least this is worded so when it goes to vote, that your written exam, it may be given by somebody's grandmother. Doesn't matter. But when it comes to the practical part of the exam, it will be administered by a licensed plumber. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on that in a little bit, but I'll tell you what, I'm glad that they kept that part in there, but we'll talk about the rest of it. Okay, recommendation 2.5 was to clarify the board's authority in approving CE providers. I think that, we've got a lot of them. We could use some more. It really doesn't matter. As long as plumbers do still have continuing education, I think that's a very important deal. Recommendation 2.6 I like. It authorizes the board to establish the terms of the license, meaning they may say our license doesn't have to be renewed every year. It's got to be renewed every 2 years or every 3 years. And not just the endorsements, but the actual license itself. So to me, that's one that, I think that could possibly be a good deal for all of us. Section 2.7, or recommendation 2.7, is to remove the renewal add-on for the endorsements. Now, guys, here's the only thing that I don't agree with this is, if I don't have a MedGas endorsement, I don't want to have to listen to them talk about MedGas during my CE. But again, if I do have it, I feel like I need that at least every 3 years to make sure that I'm kept up to date on the latest changes or anything like that. But I do also think that if the book hadn't changed, I shouldn't have to renew my MedGas because there's not a lot there that has really changed. Again, guys, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Now, recommendation 2.8 is one I do not agree with. It says remove the endorsement for the RMP and create a registered plumbing contractor. Now, guys, here's what I'm afraid is going to happen to our license. People are going to be able to come in and buy a plumbing contracting license, and now they're going to be able to open a plumbing company and do things that they really shouldn't be able to do because they know nothing about plumbing. That's where I think the idea of the RMP, I love it. Now, I know that there are companies out there that, they're banker companies and they just hire an RMP and that's how they make money, and I understand that. But I do think that I think there's some pride in saying a company is owned by a responsible master plumber. I know several of them, and I think those are the kind of companies that most people really want to do business with. I think that's a great thing, and that's something that I really wish would not have changed at all. Now, recommendation 2.9 is one I actually like. Authorize the agency to issue temporary licenses. Guys, when Hurricane Harvey hit, we were at a shortness for plumbers. We were hurting. We needed help. And it was very difficult to get a plumber in, get him licensed in time to actually help build and grow and do the things that we needed to do. This is one that I think is good as long as we put the verbiage in there to make sure that, if they want to come here and work, they've got to go ahead and get our license. Now, if they have the same testing procedures in our state, it's a little easier for them here. This is one that I agree with. I just hope it's something that we look at and make sure that we do it right. Recommendation 2.10. Guys, this is one I don't like. And Senator Buckingham made a modification on it. And even the modification I don't like. They want to be able to say if a person has gone to a trade school or has enough hands-on, yada, 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 that they now become a plumber. And guys, my thing is, and here's how I put it. I used to be an instructor here. And I was talking to one of my journeymen that went through the program. And I said, look, if you've gone through the program and you know one of the instructors and he's one of the guys there on the weekend testing you to see if you should pass and become a journeyman, is he going to pass you or not? And he said, yeah, he will. Guys, I think that we are taking away what makes us special. The fact that we have to go down and prove ourselves to the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners. I do not like the idea of getting away from the complete practical side of it at all. Now, the way these things are done and worded, I don't know what's going to happen, but I tell you what, trying to get rid of the practical to me is crazy. That is what sets us apart from a lot of other states. I know a lot of other states don't require it, but guys, with me on social media and the things I do, I hear from a lot of different plumbers across the country. And guys, we've got a lot to be proud of. I hope that we do the things to help keep us that way, because I think what we have here is special, and I want us to find a way to help keep it. I believe that the way that this finally got approved is to reach out to other training facilities. Now, they mentioned the United Association and they mentioned PHCC. These facilities these entities both have facilities where it could be set up in order to use them as a testing center. I like that because it opens up the area to put it around the state. Now, here's my thing. I don't think that if we use that facility, we should use their people in order to facilitate that. And I go back to it, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things I like about this. I love the idea of getting it out, but I'm also old school, so I still see the pridefulness of going down to Austin and actually taking the exam down there. This is one that, it was approved. I'm interested in seeing how it turns out, interested in seeing what all said about it, but also interested in seeing if they do put it out in multiple locations, how do we get the examiners there, or do we use those facilities with their people to say that they're good enough to do it? This one here is one it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. Recommendation 211, with a modification again from Senator Birdwell, is to basically find out a way to speed up the continuing education process, is what it sounds like. Require the board to implement recommendation by September the 1st, 2019, and to direct the board to simplify the time frame for obtaining continuing education. Now, I don't know if they mean that for a plumber to take continuing education, or if they mean so a company can become a continuing education provider. This is another one. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how it goes. I think that what they're trying to do, they're trying to make it where we can take CE online, and it can be an expedited process. Don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with that if plumbers would do it, but I think that what'll happen, most plumbers are going to pay somebody, sit down, open up the book, and take the test for them. That way it's something that they don't have to do. Basically, the entire issue 3, recommendation 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3 recommend getting rid of the enforcement division. I don't know what they're going to do with it or how they're going to do it, but guys, this is another one. I think there needs to be more enforcement. We've got too many handymen out installing plumbing and doing things that I really don't think they should be doing. And I think when we change this and we create a plumbing contractor's license, I think that we're going to have more of it. So this is one I'm interested in seeing how it goes, but it'll be entertaining to watch. Recommendation 3.4, 5, and 6 are all about a risk-based approach to violations and things. I like these. The one that I really like is 3.6, where anybody with any violation or anything, it's going to be attached to their license. I think that's a good thing. That way the general public knows if there's ever been a problem, that they know who to talk to. They can go look at their license and see it. And if I've ever done anything wrong, they can go look at my license and see it. And they may decide I may not be the plumbing company for them. I think that's good for the state of Texas. And I think it's good for plumbers because it's going to make us think, okay, look, do I really want to do something wrong? You know, if an apprentice knows it's always going to be on his license that he did something wrong even before he got his plumbing license, or maybe after it, he tried cheating the system or bucking the system, I think this is a good thing, and I think it's good for the state of Texas. Now, the proposed new recommendations, and here's one I can't say I disagree with. Vice Chairman Patty wanted to eliminate the high school diploma or the GED. And don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people that have had problems getting that because it's always been required for the plumbing license. But There are some people that, maybe they had to quit school early for a reason, to raise a family or to help their mom raise a family because dad passed away or something. I think that there's always reasons that you may look at that and say, look, what can we do to help? So I think recommendation 1 there was really good. Senator Buckingham's proposal which is number 2, to actually make it where plumbers in other states that want to work in Texas, as long as our testing is about the same, it's going to be really easy for them to get a license and come to work here. And I think that's a good thing, as long as their testing is similar to ours. And that makes it, look, if I want to go to work in another state and our testing is similar, the reciprocity will be really good, and it'll make it where we can get plumbers in here quicker, to where if we do have a problem and we need plumbers, it's easy to get them. And the last one by Senator Buckingham was to eliminate questions on the test that are either UPC or IPC. Make sure that we're looking at this exam to where it could be a universal plumbing exam, not just UPC, not IPC, or not one that contradicts the other. And I got to admit that that's not a bad deal. If I've studied for the UPC and all the counties I've worked in are only UPC, then taking a test with IPC questions is probably going to mess me up a little bit. So I don't have any problem with this. So guys, these are most of the things that they talked about. Again, we've got some senators and representatives on our side. We've got some that I think are just listening to lobbyists. They're listening to the people that have the money to pay them to listen. Guys, in this deal, I will have a link to find out who your representative and your senator is, and I recommend you reaching out to them. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to tell them. You need to tell them what you think. If you think these are good for you, or you think parts of it are good for you, let them know. Guys, I agree. The Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners have some problems that need to be addressed, but it's something that I think they can handle. I wish they'd have given them 4 more years to straighten it out. But you know what? If it votes that they don't, then I say we all get behind the TDLR, or whoever they end up putting us under or with. I think it'll be TDLR if it happens. But at the end of the day, I'm very prideful of my plumbing license. I hope that y'all are too. Please leave us a comment down here. Let us know what you think. Contact your senator and your representative and let them know what you think. That is the most important thing that you can do. Guys, I'm here with Brian Francis. So Brian, they just announced that basically the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners is going to come over under TDLR. At least that's their recommendation. And I've talked to you before.
Absolutely.
And I think you've got great ideas and great plans. What does this mean for plumbers right now?
You're going to find out the TLR is super open, and it starts a conversation. That's what it started today. Today, there's no final decision except for maybe we're going to move forward with the idea and maybe it'll come. The thing you're going to find out about TDLR is we work with everybody, and we're not going to do anything to change the program in a negative way. My mother and father use plumbing. I'm going to make sure it works perfectly. But the whole thing is just having conversations, and Roger knows he's already had several contacts with us already. The door's going to be wide open, and making sure that the things that are perfect, that work well for plumbing, they're going to stay in place, and the things that may need to change, that we can offer some improvement on the speed of the examination. We're going to work with the plumbing staff. They're great. I love Lisa and the team over there, but this is a great opportunity to figure out how can we make things better, and everybody wants that.
What do you see, and I know it's got to go to vote.
Absolutely.
And when will that be? How long will it take before what's determined or what's talked about today?
Well, the session
possibly
ends at the end of May.
Okay, 180 days.
Yeah, so something has to happen there. There'll be a bill probably introduced mid-February, late or early March. And at that time, they'll start having public hearings where people can come in and say, I like this element, I don't like this element. So we have a lot of back and forth. To me, I think the most interesting thing that came out today is recognizing and remembering the passion that plumbers have and making sure that their industry is honored. We're going to do that. We've had the pleasure of working with the air conditioning contractors and electricians, the podiatry board, which takes care of your feet. They came over last session, and we've been able to keep their scope of practice intact, but make the process easier for them and lower their costs and how they do business. That's what we're focused on.
So plumbers that want to come to the state, we're trying to make it easier to get them licensed, which I think is a good thing. We got 15,000 backlog right now.
1,500.
1,500.
1,500. Because it was 15,000.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't want you. So what can we do in the future, and I know we've talked about different things and certain deadlines and whatnot, possibly changes to the board, possibly, are you going to have plumbers on your board? Because I know you've got your own board, is that correct?
The advisory board, as they talked about it, we even made a recommendation they adopted, which is to add another plumber to the board. We want more plumbers in the conversation, so our recommendation increases the input for plumbers because we know we need that expertise.
So your advisory board, is this just until everything gets smoothed out, moved in, or are you going to have your own plumbers advisory, or the own, let's call them the Texas State Board? Are you going to have that board forever, or will you eventually move a plumber into your board?
This advisory board is going to be around as long as it'll be around so long that Roger's going to grow hair before it ever goes away.
That's going to take a while.
It's something that stays permanent, and it's key to make sure that that dialogue and that forum is in place. With the 39 programs that we have, 31 of them have advisory boards. All of those board meetings are on real audio. So a plumber who's in Dalhart, a plumber who's down the valley can watch the meetings live or go back and look at the archive. We're here to help. And if the bill goes through and doesn't move the program to TDLR, we're still going to work with the plumbing board to make sure that whatever expertise we can offer in this process, we're going to try to help and make it better.
Guys, from talking to him, I believe he's right. I believe that he wants to do what's best, not just for the state of Texas, but for the plumbers. Him and Lisa Hill are friends. They do talk, they work together. I think that what's in store for plumbers in the state of Texas is going to be good, it's going to be interesting, but guys, y'all need to speak up and let y'all's voice be heard also. Anything else for the plumbers?
No, man, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. All right. Guys, I'm here with Alicia with PHCC, Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors of America.
Texas.
Used to be of America's the big group, she's of Texas.
Yes, sir.
We just walked out of the Sunset Advisory Commission hearing, and they, number one, they announced they do want to move Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners under TDLR. And that's their recommendation.
Yes, sir.
What happens now?
Well, we're not over yet, Roger. This is just the first part. And as many of your listeners may not know, a bill gets created, and that bill will now go through the legislative process.
Absolutely.
We will be reaching out to see which of the members on the Sunset Commission will carry that bill. As a plumbing association, we will actually try to be a part of what that bill is and what it looks like. As to the issue of moving over to TDLR,
yes, ma'am.
We can fight that because it is a bill and it's a proposed law. But we can also work on all those other issues that were presented today. And
the way it's worded, excuse me, but
yes,
we still have to, because they kept saying TSBPE has to do this, has to do this, has to do this.
Absolutely.
So we're still in control right now.
Yes, we are. I think the one thing that we have learned from this process is that this government is not too big to fight to be a part of the process.
Right.
As you saw today, we were able to walk into a representative's office or a senator's office, state our case, state what we feel, and they actually listened to us. And I think that's something that we need to applaud ourselves, that the plumbers are well known in Texas. We're big and we mean business, and we're part of a huge infrastructure of the state of Texas, not only monetarily by the money we give to the state legislature every year, but also to what we do for this growing state.
And what she doesn't know is when she walks into an office with me, people do listen. And it's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah, it is.
I like some of the changes. And you and I've talked before, we agree there are changes that need to be made.
Absolutely, there is.
What can plumbers do to help enact that, to help make things better?
I think what plumbers have to do is it's so easy to just complain and leave a comment on social media, right? To do something about it. Your representative or your senator that's representing you here in Austin, they need to hear from you. Right. And so it's real easy to leave an anonymous comment, hit send, and go on about your day. But they're going to have to vote on this bill. And if they don't hear anything, they're going to go with the recommendations that are there and assume, oh, well, that's how it is. So I think plumbers need to take an active part in their political process. You know, for many years, I didn't go vote in these interim elections. I always did the federal election, and that was it. And then once I became a part of the plumbing, heating, and cooling contractors, I saw how important it was to be a part of the process. So that's what I encourage plumbers to do. Don't give up. Continue on, but do even more, because they do want to hear from you down here.
And they do, and As we do, we will put a link in here. We've got links to where you can actually go in, find out who your state senator is, who your state representative is. And guys, these are the people you need to talk to, because you need to talk to the ones that are in your area that represent you, and they need to understand that what you think or what you feel and how you want them to vote, and voice your opinion. Let them know what's going on.
Absolutely. And just know that there's organizations like ours, and there's other organizations out there that really care about this industry, and they're not going to give up. They're going to continue to be a part of the process. We will be down here. We will be making phone calls. We'll be making office visits, and we'll be asking you to be a part of it, because we need you. At the end of the day, they want to hear from the plumber.
And at the end of the day, we all got to work on this together, because this is our trade. They represent us. We represent them. It all goes together.
Absolutely. Thank you
very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I hope you like what we brought you today. We do plenty of other videos, so if you haven't done it yet, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you don't miss out on anything. And leave me your comments and let me know what you think about TDLR, Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, and the Sunset Advisory Commission. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.